Hello, gorgeous seekers. Welcome to Moon Magic. I am so excited to be sitting here with you, taking in the energy of this Capricorn full moon and partial lunar eclipse. This is a really big one, you guys. This one is going to hit into the core of some things that we're all working on right now. This is about our individual healing with obsession and with control and with gaining approval, as well as our collective healing about certain parts of our spiritual experience and our collective grounded real world experience that we're really due for. As you know, eclipses come in pairs, and we just had our Cancer solar eclipse at the beginning of the month. It was really beautiful, really healing, very gentle, a little bit more playful, a little bit more internal. This full moon has a lot more of this energy of bringing up the pain points, right? Bringing up the parts of ourselves that aren't working anymore, bringing up those parts of our insecurities and our worries that are no longer working for us. And actually, full moons are illuminators, right? They always illuminate things. Even when there's an eclipse involved, there's an illumination going on. And this is illuminating any place that we feel weakness, that we feel less than, that we feel compulsive in, controlling, manipulative, obsessive. And so all of those aspects are going to be pinging up like crazy during this full moon. Just a heads up, if you're working through some of those themes right now in life, or if that's something that you have been working with for the last little bit, this full moon is going to be one of those times of culmination and really getting to see it. See it in its fullness, in its whole capacity, and maybe even get some of those aha moments, those linked moments. So this full moon is happening on July 16th, 2019, and it's going to be going direct at 2:38 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a partial lunar eclipse. It'll be visible through a lot of Europe and Asia, Northern Africa, I believe. So plenty of people are going to get a little bit of a show later in the evening, overnight during the night of the 16th into the 17th. And this is happening at 24 degrees of Capricorn. So we have the moon at 24 degrees of Capricorn, the sun at 24 degrees of Cancer, lighting up that Capricorn Cancer axis, which is all about security, right? Our emotional security in Cancer and our physical, real world stability in the physical world. Of course, we're working through the waters of Cancer season. Mercury will have gone retrograde at this point during this moon and be at 1 degree of Leo. So we're already pulling back, right? We're pulling inward. We're looking at ourselves at a soul level at this point in time. We're getting close to the end of Cancer season here, and yet we have this week left of deep transformative power energy, and this full moon is really pinging at some deep themes. Part of those themes have to do with Pluto and Saturn, because as many of you are aware, Pluto, Saturn, and the south node of the moon have been having this dialogue in Capricorn for quite some time. Saturn moved into Capricorn a little while ago, and Pluto's been in Capricorn for a long time, and the south node as well. And so they've been doing this dance, and we've all been learning from it. But this full moon is kind of the culmination of many of the lessons that come with it. And there's a lot of oppositional energy between how we're vulnerable, how we show up with that Cancerian energy, and how we retract, how we shut down, how we manipulate in that Capricornian energy. And I'm not saying that Capricorn energy is about manipulation and control. I am saying that with Saturn and Pluto in the south node there, we're learning about our survival techniques, and we're learning about how we want to be these self-sufficient survivors who don't have vulnerabilities. And that is what's pinging up when you have these conversations. Because part of the deal here, you guys, is that Pluto is only a few degrees away from this moon. It's at 21 degrees of Capricorn, and when Pluto is involved, we are having to look at where we have obsession, control, and power issues. We are having to look at our shadow side, and we are having to look at it through the lens of this Capricornian father stern energy. The other thing to keep in mind here is that there's this big oppositional force going on, and I have to like look at my notes right here as I'm saying this to make sure I get everything in here, because Venus is at 16 degrees of Cancer. And it is conjunct with the north node of the moon at 17 degrees of Cancer, but they're having an opposition with Saturn at 16 degrees of Capricorn and the south node of the moon at 17 degrees of Capricorn. And this is another one of those layers that's coming up here with, we want to love, right? Venus in Cancer is so nurturing. It's so gentle. It's all about like snuggling and nurturing and home cooked meals and the soft, wonderful, good stuff in life. I have a Venus in Cancer in my chart, and so I really love Venus in Cancer. It's some of the best energy that you can have, right? It's so nurturing, but it's getting opposed by Saturn at home in Capricorn and by the south node of the moon. And what we're learning there is where there are limitations to being self-sufficient, to being controlling, to looking like you have it all together 100% of the time, to looking like you don't really need that person, to hiding and repressing those parts of ourselves that actually do need peace, that do need love, that do need harmony, that do need affection, attention. And often, you know, when these things are getting lit up this way, everything that I've just told you about, Pluto, Saturn, Venus, the sun and the moon, all these oppositions that are occurring in the sky, because it's a very oppositional axis-based moon right here, right? We're pinging up on some really big themes. We are hitting into the core of that question of, where are we trying to look like we have it all together and manipulate and control situations via being really pulled together? So the note that I have when we're thinking about all the stuff that's happening here, including that Mercury retrograde, which, what's my advice every full moon? Don't necessarily take that knee-jerk reaction and make that phone call or make that big shift in life. Perceive, watch yourself, and especially with Mercury retrograde, you know, I think that's a beautiful transit, but what it's supposed to be doing there and what you're supposed to be doing through a Mercury retrograde is listening in, reassessing, taking in the wisdom. It's not about pushing forward. It's not about pushing your agenda. Full moons have high energy. This full moon has no exception to that. And on top of that, we have this lunar eclipse. So what's going on there too is we're having this emotional conversation about where we feel emotions pinging up from our deepest, most hidden aspects of ourselves, and where are we needing to reset them? Where are we needing to reset our association with our hidden emotional needs, and how do we want to connect those to the external world around us? The big note that came in when I started thinking about this moon and feeling through this moon, it has so much to do with how we heal our inner masculine and how we nurture and balance masculine, feminine energies within ourselves. But this moon is even more than the divine feminine, masculine, archetypal energy. This moon is actually going to be looking at the part of ourselves that is skeptical and grounded and that isn't always floating along on that high-flying disc, right? This moon is designed for this aspect of ourselves, the skeptic, the one that gets nervous, the one that gets a little critical of things, the part of ourselves where it wakes up and we think there's no way that's working out. You know, we're in an age, especially in this community and in this context of think positive and everything will work out. We're in an age where it's all about, you know, oh, well, you don't have things working out for you because you weren't thinking positively enough and you weren't doing your spiritual homework enough and you weren't releasing enough, and therefore that's why you're not getting it. And what can kind of happen there is we can get into a very weird rhythm with that skeptical, nervous, slightly fearful side of ourselves that doesn't always feel like being on the high-flying disc, that doesn't always feel like being channeled through and light and flighty and floaty and easygoing. You know, this moon is designed to be healing toward the part of ourselves that says, I'm not sure that's going to work out. I don't really know if I feel confident enough to deal with this. The part of ourselves that says, I really care about this person and I'm feeling really obsessive. I'm feeling really out of control and I want to figure out how to get the control back. The part of ourselves that feels very unloved, that feels like it could get shut out at any time. The part of ourselves that did experience trauma in younger years and is now trying to figure out how to exist in the world with that formulation, that narrative in our minds, right? And the thing is, we demonize this part of ourselves, right? We don't necessarily want to hang out with this part of ourselves all the time, but this is such an essential part of ourselves. It's truly part of our inner child and our inner shadow that is speaking to us and needing reassurance. Now, we're often taught to feed into obsessive or controlling mechanisms, and we're even taught to just become self-sufficient and just take care of it. Just take care of it. And so we start to do that. And then rather than listening to that inner skeptic, that inner child that's a little scared, a little nervous about things not coming full circle, a little nervous about that abstraction and that distance from a feeling of source or God, that feeling of isolation that comes from life and experience, when we say we're just going to take care of it, we're not acknowledging it. And this full moon is going to be illuminating that part of ourselves that wants control, that wants to be heard, and that wants to have a seat at the table. So the way that might feel for you is you may feel more obsessive, you may feel more fragile, you may feel more out of control, as though the things that you're striving for, the pieces you're trying to connect, the people you're trying to pull in are further away. Right? This moon, because of these oppositions and because of the conversation that's coming up and because it's an eclipse, and eclipses are here to kind of clean up some gunk and reset some things, it may feel, just the couple days around this occurrence, it may feel as though the things are even further away, that you are just completely out of control, right? And this is where we need to take a deep breath and listen to that voice that has that narrative. It's like this monologue going on inside of you that's like, see, I told you should never have done that. Look what's happening now. Now we know that we're not going to have this, and we don't know what's going to happen in 2 weeks, but what if this happens, and what if, you know that dialogue, that monologue that goes on in your head, right? We want to pay witness and respect to that voice. Not feed into it, not believe it, not go along with its little journey. Listen to it. Witness it. Witness what it's really saying to you. Because it's telling you something about where you want to shift your focus in life, where you want to put your energy, your creative capacity, the way that you move through the world, and the way that you love people. Because while this moon is going to agitate the grounded, not Zen, not Tao way inside of us, the one that wants to just get in there and be an active component and just have the control, this moon is also an invitation to love the way that Venus in Cancer loves. To love the way that the sun in Cancer loves, which is all about the nurturing. It's all about the opening up. It's all about the relaxing enough to receive in. But you really can't get into that headspace of relaxing enough to receive in unless you've honored that part of yourself that's so much more stressed out. And a lot of that stress is going to come from, like we were talking about in the Cancer new moon eclipse video in early July. This was the beginning of that conversation, which is this whole idea of earning approval from those that you look up to, earning approval from those you love, looking for approval from authority figures. We have to honor that part of ourselves that's looking for the safety and the stability of getting that approval, of getting that control and that power. We have to honor that part of ourselves, because it's not that it's correct, but it's that it is telling us something. It's giving us information about where our heart is really calling to. And when we honor it, when we give it a space to breathe, when we give it a space to have its monologue, we also give space in ourselves to welcome in love and abundance and trust again. And that is where the Cancer Capricorn axis is getting lit up so perfectly, right? We're having a true conversation between the north and the south nodes of the moon. And it really, truly, the way that lines up is kind of wild. Let's pull some cards for this. This is also a moon where you're going to be making peace with the fact that you are a physical presence here. And, you know, physicality, we can be moving and shaking energetically on our energetic bodies at crazy fast speeds. You know, things can shift very quickly in our energetic bodies, but our physical bodies often need time to catch up. And I think we need to also, during this Capricorn full moon, 9 of Cups popped out, make some peace and healing with our physical body. Some of you may experience some physical symptoms during this full moon. You may feel more tired. You may feel more sluggish. If you have, you know, inflammation of any kind, that might ping up a little bit. But it's all in the service of grace and feeling grace towards yourself as not only a spiritual loving being, but as a physical being in this world, the Emperor. Also a physical being here in the world. Page of Pentacles. Lots of invitation here. Queen of Wands. Lots of invitation here, right? Full moons and eclipses are here to set us up for the next energetic cycle. They are here to clear the way. They are here to make something, they're here to set the table for the next feast, right? And so yes, they do some deep work. This one specifically is doing some very deep work on the collective, but it is that invitational energy. Let's set the table for the next feast. You know, even if you're in the process of healing something huge, even if you're in the process of a messy situation in life that has gray areas, uncertainties, it doesn't mean that you're not invited to the table of life today. You can have both things be true at once. And this moon has a lot of that duality to it. But all 4 of these cards that came out are invitationals. They are not actually, and they're visionary cards. They're not about the past. They're not about severing. They're not about any of that, actually. They are about where you want to go now. So knowing that you have this part of yourself that can be a little skeptical and that can be a little freaked out and that can be frustrated by our limitations physically and that can be frustrated by the limitations of the way we perceive time when we're working through the world in this physical way, and that can be frustrated and skeptical about our lovability, our self-worth, all of that, right? That can be going on, and at the same time, you can be opening up to the greatest love and connection and healing and health of your life. And that is what these cards are actually bringing up for me today as I'm sitting here. As much as this is a full moon about deep healing and deep connecting with our need to seek approval and security, it's also a full moon about where we just want to unlatch that door and open to the next era. You know, we are meant to feel deep, profound connection and love. The 9 of Cups is not about strife or moving and shaking or controlling. You know, this state of love is definitely one of total acceptance of the present moment and therefore a receptivity to what is good for us. And this is a moon to, as much as you might be paying attention to what's pinging up, what's a little sore, what's a little scary, this moon is also an invitation for you to pay attention to where you notice that you're actually getting invitations to emotional growth and to emotional connectedness. The next 3 cards kind of work for me together because this is about, you know, it's interesting. This is fiery energy and we are very close to Leo season. The planets are starting to move into Leo, including Mercury retrograding through the last degree of Leo, the first degree of Leo, before meeting Cancer. We are about to go into an era of deep fire, right? This is the Aries card, obviously, and this Leo, this Queen of Wands is very tied to Leo. Sunflowers and cats, I mean, what's more Leo than that? But all 3 of these cards, when you notice, they are looking forward to the future, to what is possible, to what can be enacted. You know, the Emperor is an authority figure, and I've been talking a lot about that in these full moons for July because it's all about getting that authority figure approval, that dad approval, right? And the Emperor is a perfect representation of that. But you're also the Emperor. As much as you may perceive yourself as the kid who's looking for the approval or the lover that's looking for the acceptance from another lover, you're actually the Emperor. You're actually the one in charge. You're actually the one at the seat and the helm of control. But not control in the sense of I'm going to delegate, this is how you're going to love me, this is how the pieces are going to fold. You're the emperor of your own soul. You are the visionary of your own trajectory, but that doesn't come from external control. It comes from a centeredness that when the emperor is in high functioning mode is very good at doing. It also comes from an understanding of value. Now, the Page of Pentacles means news is coming in, right? And a lot of energy moves around full moons. They tend to bring up big pieces of information, right? And the Page of Pentacles here is giving us that. It's giving us this clarity of sight. It's giving us this clarity of how are we going to heal our physical bodies? How are we going to heal our connection to wealth, to well-being? How are we going to heal and connect into the next phase? So that question's going to be coming up, and yes, energy's moving. There will be a desire to make things happen. There will be a desire to call people up or to make shifts. Watch, listen, pay attention. We finish with the Queen of Wands. One of my favorite energies. Probably because I'm a Leo, but also because the Queen of Wands understands something very important. Yes, she's fire, but this is probably the most balanced fire energy you're going to find because, okay, Queen of Wands is a creative force. She's going to make things happen in the world. She's going to create. She's going to put her energy out into the world. She's a visionary. She is manifestation energy. However, the Queen of Wands understands something so essential to the way she uses her energy. If you notice, yes, she has her wand. Yes, she's looking out. She's not in a hurry to make her move. She has no doubt that what is meant for her will be hers. She has no doubt that if she sits still and listens and finds her center point, that it will come together. She's a sprinter. She hunts like a cat. These are things where you stay in a slow, receptive, perceptive mode a majority of the time, and then you take deep, inspired action that aligns with what feels right. It's not about busy work, right? And one of the things that comes up with this moon is this desire for busy work, which is often where we get into that obsessive, manipulative, controlling mindset, right? We want to have the busy work. We want to have something to complete, to do, because Capricorn energy wants to get things done, wants to take the self-responsibility, wants to make the things happen, which is a great thing. We need that skill set. However, the shadow side of it is this need to constantly be getting our fingers in all the things and be constantly connected to things all the time. And honestly, that doesn't work. It doesn't work that well. We have to learn how to own our power within ourselves, within the quiet, within the softness, before we can act in ways that are actually helpful to ourselves and to others. This is a moon, you look at these cards, these are manifestation cards, these are positive cards, these are creative cards, these are invitational cards. However, what I will say about all of the figures here is that they are not rushing. They're not rushing around trying to get all the pieces in alignment. They're perceiving, they're watching, they're listening. They're paying attention. Okay, my loves, I'm going to close it out there. Be really kind to yourselves during this full moon. I'm going to be in traveling mode, so that will probably be a very interesting night and next day for me personally. And I'm hoping that you all are taking really good care of yourselves. I've had to really slow down, but that's, typical of me in this time of year. So you all will figure out what works best for you. I will see you for more Moon Magics and for the August readings. That's my birthday month, and I'm really excited to share the August energy with you all. Oh man, Such powerful energy. I am, of course, wearing PinkLune. You can find her shop in the Etsy link. I will leave her description below. You can also find me on Instagram at SarahVerba. I would love to see you guys over there. It's so fun when you join me for energy updates and for discussions. Just add something to your month if you're looking for a little bit more. You can also find me on my website and on my email. I will be opening up my calendar for sessions in the next few months, so you can email me if you want more information about that and I will set you up. I'm sending you guys so much love. I will see you so soon for more. So excited to share more projects, more creativity with you, and I love you guys and I'm so appreciative of you, and I just want to tell you right now that you being here means so much to me. I mean, it's hard to express in words really, but your presence with me in this journey is monumental. And, you know, people say that all the time, but truly I can feel the love and I can feel the connection, and it makes my life so meaningful. So thank you for being here. I'm sending you seriously all of my heart love. I will talk to you very soon, and have a beautiful full moon and eclipse in Capricorn.